is taking time to be alone with Him. You know, have you ever heard the term, or have you ever said, man, there just aren't enough hours in the day? You ever said that? I am so busy. There's just not enough hours in the day. I don't mean to bust your bubble, because I had to deal with this myself. I still deal with it at times. There's only two reasons you say that. Number one, you got a major ego problem, and you want people to think you're really busy doing something, or you genuinely have a terrible time with time management. I told you this is going to be real practical. It may be too practical for some of you. Do you realize what we say when we say that? We're calling God an idiot. He didn't know what He was doing. If He would have really been smart, He would have given us more hours. Surely God should have known, I need more time. Some of you may want to leave right now. This may get a little rough. Let me tell you something. Every one of us have the same amount of time. God gave every one of us a 24-hour day. There's nobody here that He made a mistake with. Now, here is what you've got to understand. God in His omniscience and God in His wisdom, who knows all, if He wanted us to have more time, He would have given it to us. He would have made things differently than He did. If you say or I say, I don't have enough hours in the day, then one of two things is the problem. Either I'm attempting to do things that God never told me to do, or I'm a terrible time manager. Bishop, they got quiet on me right there. I was always told a long time ago that whenever the church gets quiet, stay right there. God's going to ask you to do something you don't have time to do. God's going to expect you to do something. He's going to hold you to do things that you don't have the time to do legitimately. Could the problem really be that we're attempting to do things He didn't tell us to do? but because of maybe we see the big picture, maybe we, just feel the burden and the need, we take on more responsibility than we should. I'm not here criticizing you. You understand? I'm not criticizing you. I'm telling you that we've got enough time to do everything God has called us to do. If there's stuff on our plate that we don't have time to do, maybe we're not supposed to do it. I wonder about that. And then the next thing we got to look at, and the next thing we've got to consider, is that when we are so busy that we don't have time to get alone with God on a daily, consistent basis, then something's wrong with our schedule. Now, Tony Bailey, I don't know if he's listening or not. He is my friend. He has impacted my life. His message on early morning prayer forever changed me. I've practiced early morning prayer for many years, never understood the power of it. I just did it. My wife has been an example of early morning. I mean, you talk about early morning, I mean real early morning. It's 3:30, 3, 2:30, 4. It's early morning with her. And I wake up most of the time, she's not in the bed. She's got that Afghan wrapped around her, and she's at her place. She's literally at her spot, and she'll stay there, and she'll stay there. I've lived with a woman who prays continually. Okay? So I understand all about early morning prayer, but I also understand there's a human side to us. And I've known people who gave up on their prayer life because they couldn't get themselves up early enough to pray before they went to work. And so they felt guilty because they didn't pray during the morning hours. Brother Bailey has never taught us to pray in the evening is bad. Some people, though, have taken that. If you don't pray in the morning, it's not of God. You're just not spiritual. That's not the case. What I'm trying to tell you is God's a 24/7 God. Okay? I mean, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't slumber. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you can't get up at 4 in the morning and pray so you can be at work at 5 or whatever time you go in, that's not the issue. The issue is pray. There needs to be a time in your life that's consistent, that you can get alone with God on a daily basis. And you know who's there? Your best friend's not going to be there with you. Your wife, your husband's not going to be there with you. Nobody's going to be there but you and Jesus. Why? Because that's what he said. We just, Eric, Tim, myself, we're headed to Malaysia tomorrow. And then we're going on to Indonesia. Brother White sent an email, and he had a room set up, and Brother Tim was going to be in one room, and Brother Eric and I were going to be in another room. Now, he's like our son. He lived with us. So that's not a problem with me. But the problem is, when I'm in that situation, and especially when I'm in ministry mode, I don't want anybody with me when I'm praying. Now, my wife is probably the only exception to that, but that's only even when we're in a situation we have to be. When it's my prayer time, I lock myself. I don't mean literally lock it, but I do close the door. When she's in prayer mode, she closes the door. When I'm trying to find the mind of God, I close the door. Why? Because that's between me and Jesus. Why do you do that? Why is that so important? I want to tell you, if the only time you pray is when you're with the church, you're in trouble.